We exist peacefully and safely nuzzled deep in the Milky Way solar system. The Milky Way provides us with everything we need, and it's a stroke of pure luck that Earth was created in this system. Everything had to line up perfectly to produce the planet we have now, one that is the perfect distance from the Sun, the perfect size and temperature too. The fact that Earth is capable of life is partly due to the Milky Way. But what if you found out that someday, in the far, far future, the Milky Way wouldn't look or exist like it does today? What if you learned that the Milky Way was actually on an inevitable, unavoidable, massive collision course with another galaxy, and there was nothing anyone could do about it? That's the truth. Our quiet little Milky Way system is currently set to crash into and merge with another. At a pace of around 70 miles per second, the Andromeda Galaxy is speeding toward our very own Milky Way. The latest estimates suggest that the two galaxies will eventually collide and fuse. That's right, two will become one in a major cosmic event that would radically change our night sky and the space around us. This is a known fact, but it hasn't gotten many people nervous. Because the Milky Way and Andromeda are slated to meet in around 5 billion years, give or take, the news that the Milky Way and Andromeda are colliding is not usually a highly headline-grabbing piece of information. Why worry about something that won't happen until long after your great-great-grandchildren's great-great-grandchildren are already gone and buried? However, a new study released in August of 2021 in the peer-reviewed Astrophysical Journal indicates that the timescale has been revised. In fact, the collision has already begun. Uh-oh, that doesn't sound good at all, does it? That information on the Andromeda Galaxy comes from Project Omega, which looks at the Andromeda Galaxy's deep space environment using the Hubble Space Telescope. Omega stands for Andromeda's Absorption Map of Ionized Gas. This study was described as the most comprehensive study of a halo surrounding a galaxy by NASA earlier this year. The Andromeda Galaxy, our Milky Way, and other galaxies are all engulfed in a huge envelope of gas, dust, and stray stars known as a galactic halo. The halos of galaxies are extremely faint, making detection difficult, although they have been witnessed in some of the best deep space photography that you have seen. Researchers calculated the extent of the Andromeda Galaxy's halo by observing how light from nearby quasars was absorbed. They were shocked to discover that the Andromeda's galaxy halo reaches considerably beyond the observable galaxy's borders than previously thought. In reality, it stretches as far as 1.3 million light-years to our Milky Way, and even further in other directions, up to 2 million light-years. Does this imply that the Andromeda and Milky Way galaxies' halos are colliding? It turns out that we can't simply assess the properties of our galaxy's halo from our vantage point inside the Milky Way. Because the two galaxies are so similar in size and appearance, astronomers believe the Milky Way's halo will be similar as well. To put it another way, it's the faint halos of galaxies that appear to be touching one another. As a result, in a sense, the collision between our two galaxies has already begun. The Andromeda Galaxy's core is now roughly 2.5 million light-years distant from Earth, and it's coming closer all the time. As previously indicated, the Andromeda Galaxy will look bigger in our sky as it approaches. Any beings alive on Earth will observe it grow larger and larger in our night sky between now and the final merging. The future merger estimations are based on Hubble Space Telescope measurements of the Andromeda Galaxy's speed, followed by computer modeling of the two galaxies' unavoidable future collision. A series of studies released in 2012 found that our Milky Way galaxy and the Andromeda Galaxy would combine to create a single large elliptical or football-shaped galaxy, rather than glancing off each other as merging galaxies sometimes do. Now, this is nothing new. Throughout the cosmos, galaxies collide with one another. With the help of large telescopes, astronomers see galactic collisions or their aftermaths. In some sense, When two galaxies combine, they're like ghosts passing through each other. This is due to the vast distances between stars inside galaxies. As a result, when galaxies merge, the stars themselves seldom collide. However, the merger will have an impact on stars both in the Andromeda Galaxy and our Milky Way. 1 trillion stars make up the Andromeda Galaxy. There are approximately 300 billion stars in the Milky Way. Both galaxy stars will be flung into new orbits around the newly combined galactic core. What about life on the planet? Will life on Earth survive the merger? Our Sun's luminosity, or intrinsic brightness, is expected to rise continuously over the next 4 billion years, according to astronomers. The quantity of solar radiation reaching the Earth will grow as the Sun's brightness rises. It's feasible that by 4 billion years from now, the Earth's surface temperature will have increased to the point that a runaway greenhouse effect will have occurred, similar to what is currently occurring on Venus, whose surface is hot enough already to melt lead. On Venus, no one expects to find life, at least no one used to until very recently. In other words, it is unlikely that life on Earth will exist in 4 billion years. Furthermore, our Sun is changing. It is predicted that it will ultimately become a red giant star. The Sun's outer layers will expand into the solar system's space to the point where Earth will be devoured by the Sun's outer layers. This is projected to occur in around 7.5 billion years. So, while it's definitely going to happen, it's not something to be too worked up about yet. You have plenty of time to make preparations for that major change. The idea of Andromeda colliding with our very own Milky Way has been around for a long time. In fact, it's a concept older than space travel itself. The radial velocity of Andromeda was measured by astronomer Vesto Slipher in the early 1900s. To put it another way, he computed the rate at which the galaxy approached or moved away from Earth. Slipher accomplished this by checking for a telltale stretching or compression in the light from Andromeda as it arrived on Earth. Light from moving objects is somewhat stretched or red-shifted. The light from approaching objects is blue-shifted or compressed. The outcome was more than a little unexpected. It turns out that Andromeda was approaching us at breakneck speed. However, it was still unknown all those years ago whether its arrival would signal the end of the Milky Way. For decades, astronomers had no way of knowing whether Andromeda and the Milky Way would crash head-on or pass each other by like star-filled vessels in the cosmic darkness. It turns out that measuring the velocity of remote objects traveling toward or away from us is quite simple, but determining their sideways motion, what astronomers call proper motion, is far more complex. The further away anything is, the more difficult it is to measure its sideways speed, which doesn't provide the astronomer's favorite stretch or compressed wavelengths. Astronomers instead rely on precise measurements of an object's location in relation to background stars. Without advanced telescopes, a modest and subtle alteration can take millennia to notice. Throughout the years, studying the movement of Andromeda became more and more precise, more and more accurate, and more alarming. Our two solar systems were most certainly on a collision course, and the better the science became, the more definite that fact became. The good news about all of this is that the stars inside solar systems are so far apart that even though everything is coming together in a giant Milky Way milkshake, the chance of what scientists call stellar collisions are slim. The Sun and its planets will most definitely survive the collision and the combination of these two systems. Yes, it will look incredible. Yes, it will quite literally change the universe around us. But will it cause great harm? Not likely. And remember, the chances of people still even living on Earth so far in the future are nearly non-existent. Don't be afraid of this event that is scheduled to occur far in the future. It'll be a spectacular light show, there is no doubt about that. But due to the future of humanity and the future of our planet, it won't be a dangerous one. Imagine that billions of years in the future, the night sky that you look at each evening will be wildly transformed, a giant messy collage of two solar systems that slowly but surely came together and gave birth to a massive, mighty, gorgeous new one.